Hello everyone and welcome back to another Year 5 and 6 English tutorial. Today is a little bit of a different one because our main focus today is on vocabulary. We are going to be looking at shades of meaning, which is one of my favourite things to look at because new vocabulary can always be very exciting, but understanding the shades of meaning of different words that we would consider synonyms is really important to help us use new words more effectively in our writing. Okay, so what do I mean by shades of meaning? Well, we talk about synonyms a lot in school. Oh, give me a better word for that, give me a better word for happy, give me a better word for sad. Okay, and you would all be able to give me lots of different examples of words that mean something similar to those words, but all of those words will have a slightly different meaning, which will slightly change what we are writing. Okay, and I'll give you an example of what I mean here. So I've got two sentences on this top line. One of them says the car bumped into the wall, and the second one says the car smashed into the wall. Now those were both synonyms that were given to me when I asked someone for two synonyms for the word hit. Okay, but when we think about that, that's got two very different meanings. The car bumped into the wall suggests that it happened quite softly, that maybe there's not very much damage. Whereas the car smashed into the wall suggests to me that the hit was a lot more powerful and that there might have been quite a bit of damage caused by it. Okay, and that is a very different shade of meaning. We've got from the less intense version to the more intense, the more powerful version. Okay, over here, another example with the word angry. Okay, if I said, oh, give me another word that means the same as angry, lots of you would be able to tell me lots of different words which means something very similar to angry, but they can mean actually slightly different things and would tell us a very different story about how a character was feeling. So for example, let's think about Leah. It says here Leah was annoyed with everyone. Over here, it says Leah was furious with everyone. Now, again, they were two synonyms that were given to me when I said, give me two synonyms for the word angry. Okay, but they give us two very different pictures of how this character Leah is feeling. Leah was annoyed with everyone, suggests that she's feeling just a little bit, maybe muttering under her breath, bit folded arms, or a little bit annoyed. But if Leah is furious with everyone, that gives us more of an idea that she's red in the face, that she wants to storm from the room. She might even start shouting at the people in the room. Okay, so they have got very different shades of meaning. This one is less intense. The feeling of anger isn't that strong in her yet. And this one is much more intense. The feeling of anger is really intensely in her body. Okay, and that's what we mean by shades of meaning, where we think about how very close synonyms for each other or near synonyms actually have very slightly different meanings, which can change our writing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a think about that with some of these words here. So I've started off here with the word happy, okay, and I asked some people in my family and when I've been checking up on people, can you just help me out and give me a word that means the same as happy? And people have been giving me a few different words. Okay, and then what I thought about was, okay, these are all synonyms that do mean the same as happy, but which one means you are most happy and which one means you are sort of least happy? You're happy, but you're not overjoyed about something. Okay, and so the first word that I thought was happy but wasn't that happy was the word contented. If I'm contented about something, that doesn't suggest that I'm leaping around singing and dancing about it. I just might be sitting there on the sofa feeling quite, yeah, I'm quite contented. I'm feeling quite satisfied. Okay, the next one that I got was merry. Okay, if you're feeling merry, you're sort of maybe a little bit more than just contented, you're feeling quite jolly. Okay, next I had the word, did I have thrilled? Yes, I had thrilled next. Now some of you might start to disagree with me when we get down to these ones, and it's not an exact science because it is just opinion on some of these. We've got thrilled. Then we've got the word ecstatic, because then for me that had an idea of whoever it is who's feeling ecstatic maybe sort of leaping around a little bit more, maybe some hand clapping, some squealing if someone's feeling ecstatic about something. And then I went for my last one, which is a word, I used it in one of my tutorials and now I'm quite enjoying this word at the minute, euphoric. Now, if you're feeling euphoric, it means you're in a state of euphoria. You're so happy about something. So that had to be my most intense word down here. So I've gone contented, merry, thrilled, ecstatic, euphoric. They're all words that do mean the same as happy, but in very different degrees. Okay, now I asked people to do the same for me for sad, scared, and laughed, which is actually a verb down the end there. So what you might want to do is pause the video there and have a go at filling those in for yourself. Or you can have a look at what I put there. Now, remember what I said, it's not an exact science. And some of these you might think, oh, I'd have put them the other way round. And that is perfectly okay. As long as you understand the difference between the top one and the bottom one, that is the really key thing. So here for sad, we started off with the word melancholy. Okay, if you're feeling melancholy, you're sort of thinking back on something that's happened and you might be thinking you're sort of happy but a little bit sad about it because it's happened and it's gone. You're feeling a bit melancholy. So that was my first one there. I didn't think that was so intensely sad. Then I went for the word somber, because I thought for me that felt like a word where they're not crying. If someone's somber, it doesn't suggest to me that that person is bawling their eyes out, but they're maybe sort of quite serious faced and might be thinking quite a lot about things. Then I went for the word depressed. So we're starting to get a little bit more into the sad territory, but again, it doesn't necessarily suggest to me that someone would be crying all the time or that they'd have tears streaming down their face. Then I went for the word devastated, because that suggests to me there that something terrible has happened that has just destroyed their world. They might be crying at that point. They might be feeling really quite intensely sad. And then my most intense word for the word sad, I chose the word heartbroken. Oh, you're not going to see that as I write that there. How annoying. But I'll read it to you, so hopefully you'll remember what I said, heartbroken. Now, I've already showed this list to a couple, and people said, those two should be the other way around. They mean very similar things. So perfectly acceptable. If you think that heartbroken is less sad than devastated, then that is perfectly up to you. But they give us a little bit more of a sense that this person is really upset about something than them just feeling a little bit somber or a bit melancholy. Scared over here, so this one that you'll have lots of words for, I am sure. Started off with anxious. If I'm feeling anxious about something, for me that just says a little bit nervous, a little bit butterflies in my belly maybe. It doesn't make me think that I'm gasping and jumping back and running away. Okay, my next one I went for unsettled. Okay, so if something made me feel just a little bit like can't relax, just a little bit unsettled, that for me is a little bit more scared than just being anxious, although some people I've showed this to don't agree. They think they should be the other way around, but it doesn't suggest someone that, again, who is running away and gasping in shock. Okay, then I went for the word afraid, which I thought was sort of middle sort of scared. Then I went for the word terrified, because then I'm starting to get in my head a little bit more of a picture of someone who is shaking and trembling, maybe someone who's gone white as a sheet, perhaps. And then for my last word, I went for the word petrified. Okay, again, for me, that seems the most intense. If someone's petrified, they might be running in the opposite direction, going white as a sheet, maybe gasping out in shock, screaming. Okay, then for laughed, you might have something different to me, but I started off with the word sniggered. I didn't think that was such an intense laugh. If someone's sniggering at something, they're just sort of maybe under their breath. Okay, then I went for giggled. So you might get the giggles at something. It's sort of a quiet laughter still though. If you get the giggles, you're sort of quietly laughing to yourself. You're not howling out loud, okay? Then I went for the word chuckled. Again, some people might disagree and think that maybe chuckled is a little bit less than giggled, but again, that is up to you to decide. Then I went for cackled. We might associate that with witches, but that for me is a much louder sort of a laugh. And then for my last one, I went for a word you might not have heard of this one, but guffawed. So G-U-F-F-A-W-E-D, guffawed, which is really like throwing your head back, holding your belly, sort of laughing. So for me, that was the more intense one. Now, as you can see, there is a lot that is up for debate and you can switch things around, but we end up with these really lovely gradients of words from the least intense word, the least intense synonym, to the most intense, the most powerful one, the one that shows that they're feeling this thing or they're doing this thing the most. So what I would like you to do is get a little bit creative for me. And here I've created a list of adjectives and a list of verbs. And what I want you to have a go at doing is thinking about creating your own shades of meaning gradients for some of these words. So we've got angry, big, nice, mean, tasty, good, small, bad and pretty. So the first thing you're going to need to do for each one or just for a couple is gather the synonyms that you know that mean the same or roughly the same as that word, okay? If you're thinking about a word like good, make sure you decide whether you're just thinking about someone who is good or something that happened that was good so that you get the right sorts of words, okay? Over here, we've got the words eat, shut, walk, look, and said. Okay, so what you will need to do is think of as many synonyms as you can or near synonyms that would mean the same. And once you've got them all written down, start to organise them into the least intense to the most intense, remembering that there is no correct answer. Obviously, there are some that are definitely more intense and some that are definitely less intense. But between two different levels, you might have some the other way around to somebody else who's doing the same activity. So see how many shades of meaning gradients you can create. This is your chance to get really creative. Year 6, I know we were working on our shades and tints before we went into lockdown. So you might want to get your paints out or your art supplies or your pencils, whatever you've got, and create your own gradient bar with your shades and your tints and your words going from the least intense to the most intense, where you have that powerful colour down at the bottom like we did on that first page. And that could be a really lovely resource for you to have in your room at home or for you to share with us and bring into school with us when we eventually all get to be together again. But see how creative you can be and how many words you can find and collate into your shades of meaning for some of these different words. Okay? Thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure that you keep yourself safe and busy over the next few days. Enjoy the bank holiday, and we will be back with some more English tutorials on Monday. See you later.